Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, welcome back to Primetime.
Good to see you.
Man, I'll tell you, I wasn't expecting the president's legal team to be this self-selecting, which is to say, oh, no crime, we accept Mueller's finding. Oh, well, those things about him lying and all those bad acts, no, that's not true. We'd have to try that in a court of law for it to be found true or not. What do you do with that?
Well, it's not surprising because they're taking direction from Donald Trump, who's obviously selective with his facts, and that's been the case. This is a president that regularly lies to the American people. The president is out of control. The president is reckless and irresponsible. This is not new information. We've actually seen this over the last 2 years on any day that ends in Y.
Mueller doesn't change your mind in any way.
Well, here's what's new. That Bob Mueller, a talented and well-respected law enforcement professional, after completing a 22-month investigation, writing a 400-plus page report, has concluded and identified at least 10 different instances where it's likely that the President of the United States attempted to engage in obstruction of justice. Now, the President's constitutional responsibility is to faithfully discharge the laws of the United States of America, as you know. It appears that he has not upheld that constitutional responsibility. In the United States of America, no one is above the law, not even the President of the United States of America, which is why, hopefully, reasonable Americans across the political spectrum take these concerns that were laid out seriously, and Congress is going to now have to act responsibly.
But the avenue for that is impeachment. And Pelosi stepped away from that early on and often. Steny Hoyer stepped away from it. How do you satisfy that?
Well, the avenue is not impeachment. The avenue is first disclosure to the American people. So 3 things I think we need to do. First, Congress needs to review the entirety of the report because we can't necessarily trust the redactions that were put into place.
The grand jury redactions especially.
The grand jury redactions especially because, as you know, yes, there's a presumption of grand jury secrecy. That can be overcome when there's a compelling public interest. There obviously is one in this particular instance.
All right, so you want all of that. What's 2?
2, we need the underlying documentation. That's something that Chairman Nadler has consistently indicated, so we can do our due diligence and ultimately present that information to the American people. 3, perhaps most importantly, once we have the unredacted report, once we have the underlying documentation, Bob Mueller needs to testify and tell his story to the American people.
To what end?
Well, I think at that point we can make a determination as to what measures of accountability are merited. I support Speaker Pelosi's articulation of the standard relative to impeachment. The case must be compelling, the evidence must be overwhelming, and most importantly, the sentiment around impeachment must be bipartisan in nature. Remains to be seen what ultimately is the conclusion that the sort of gorgeous mosaic of the American people draw from the information, because we don't have all the information yet.
Well, what if the poll numbers show that minds aren't really that different? People who don't believe in the integrity of this president now have more reason to believe that, and those who don't care about the integrity of the president don't care about whatever information there is. They've made up their decision. They've made up their mind. Is it worth your time and the political risk to keep beating that same drum?
Well, listen, our primary focus has and will continue to be on executing our For the People agenda as it relates to kitchen table pocketbook issues. We're going to keep the focus on lowering health care costs with an emphasis on driving down the high cost of life-saving prescription drugs. We're going to keep the focus on enacting a real infrastructure plan. We want to invest $1 trillion, fix our crumbling bridges, roads, tunnels, mass transit system. We think we can create 16 million good-paying jobs. We were elected on issues related to lowering health care costs and infrastructure and improving the lives of middle-class Americans and those who aspire to be part of it. So nothing changes that approach. But we do recognize that we have a constitutional responsibility to be a check and balance on an out-of-control executive branch. The Mueller report further indicates this president is out of control. Now, we're going to do it in a deliberate fashion. We're not going to overreach. We're not going to over-politicize. We're not going to over-investigate. But we are not going to shirk from our constitutional responsibility either.
It's going to be an interesting balance. This is not the end. So we'll see where it goes next. Congressman, always a pleasure, and thank you.